people say that they're nothing but an evil cult, that the Amish are nothing but a cult, and that they rape their children, they beat their animals.
Hi everybody, I'm Homestead Tessie, and you're on the Scott and Tessie Show. And I am Teresa, Tessie, and this is my son Scott.
Hello everyone, I am Scott from Scott's Honest Reviews. Our links are in the video description if you guys are interested. Welcome to our first official video.
So there's been a lot of publicity lately about a dear young Amish girl, and her name was Linda Stoltzfus, who's gone missing. And so the media is really focused on that right now here in the state of Pennsylvania. And a lot of people are wondering a little bit about the Amish and the Mennonites, and what does that really mean, and who are the Amish and Mennonites? So I don't know a whole lot about the Amish, but the Amish are a stricter branch of the Mennonites. But one thing I do know is I know all about the Mennonites and the Mennonite way of living. And I'm going to share with you a little bit today how I grew up and the traditions that I hold fast today, and some of the traditions that I don't really use anymore. As you will notice when you hear Scott and I talk, we have a little bit of a different dialect. And oftentimes people will say, where in the world did you come from? And why do you sound so different? We were born and raised in a place where they have Pennsylvania Dutch. And so we were born and raised in a part of Pennsylvania that has a high Pennsylvania Dutch language. And so we will mirror that speech every once in a while. We don't have any speech lisps, it's just the way we talk. It's our Pennsylvania Dutch heritage. So what are the Mennonites? Well, I can only tell you what it is for me and how I was raised and what I learned through it all. I am not your typical Mennonite. As you see, I don't wear a covering and I don't have a cape dress. But I grew up with the traditional Mennonite values, and my parents grew up very plain. What does it mean to be plain? Well, my mother wore a cape dress with the Mennonite covering. My mother was a keeper of the home. That meant she stayed home. She didn't work away.
Now, what is a cape dress?
A cape dress is a dress that you would typically see like the Amish wear. So in other words, it would be a dress with a cape that was sewn into it, almost like an apron.
Interesting.
Very interesting. And my father was the traditional Mennonite man, which meant he worked away from home, came home to his children and his wife, and that is the way we were raised as women. We were raised to be keepers of the home. That meant we didn't work away. Now, not all Mennonite women wanted to be keepers of the home. Some people didn't want to have children, didn't want to get married. And do you know what they were called? Spinsters.
I did not know that.
A spinster was a woman who didn't have any children and wasn't married, but then typically she would get a job as a housekeeper, or she would help the Mennonite women when they had babies. She was passed from house to house, and they would employ her and doing domesticated work and things like that.
So I got a question that a lot of people have been wondering. So, Quaker. What's the difference between a Quaker and a Mennonite? Do you know?
So the difference is we have Amish, we have Quaker, we have Joe Wangers. What is a Joe Wanger? So Menno Simons was the one who developed the Mennonite faith, and that was just his interpretation of the Bible. And so we have all kinds of backgrounds, and it's all kinds of different parts of the faith. And so the Quakers believed in being pacifists, just like the plain Mennonites did.
And what's a pacifist?
A pacifist is somebody who doesn't believe in going into the military or killing for any reason whatsoever.
That makes sense, because we both did our DNA test, and we originally fled from Germany because our ancestors were persecuted because of our religion. So we fled. Our ancestors, I think it was 1700s, I believe. I'll have to dig more into that, but we fled from Germany. We actually came to Pennsylvania. A lot of the Amish and Mennonite came to Pennsylvania and Ohio. Ohio and Pennsylvania, you will find there are a lot of Amish and Mennonite, because that's where we originally fled to. And I did hear in Indiana as well, there are some. So that's a pretty interesting fact that we fled here and we're still just in this area.
So after a while, my parents had decided they wanted to leave the Mennonite church. And the reason why they left that is they started reading the Bible for themselves, and they started realizing there were some things that maybe they didn't quite believe in. And they became what is called charismatic. In other words, when they grew up, they believed that your works is what saves you. And after reading the Bible, they really started realizing that It was Jesus dying on the cross that saves us of our sins.
So I have a question, Tessie. Is it true? Do the Amish only believe in the Old Testament? Is that what they go by? I was always told they believe in the Old Testament. They don't believe that Jesus died on the cross and that's how we get to heaven. They believe by following the Old Testament.
All right, so the Amish do believe in the Old and the New Testament.
Okay.
Now we're talking two different time periods. When we talk about the Old Order Amish, the Old Order Amish would not believe maybe in some of the things that they believe in this day. So in other words, the Old Order Amish probably didn't believe in healing, and they didn't believe in some things, but the Amish church is really going through a revival right now, and so they are really seeking God, and they are becoming aware of just what the whole Bible means, and they're not becoming quite as strict as they used to be. Amish right now, they have cell phones, they have Facebook, and there's also what I didn't realize.
Instagram. They have loads of Instagram accounts.
I didn't realize, but the Amish are called New Order Amish. So it's New Order Amish and the Old Order Amish. And so the Amish are becoming a little more liberated, and they're also becoming a little bit more technology than what they used to.
But you have to also explain that there's an age gap that
Right.
they allow this. So the Amish actually allow their kids to drink, party, Instagram, cars, all that. Can you believe it? The Amish actually allow this to happen, and I think it's actually
Rumsprung.
yeah, I think it's actually a good thing because I think it makes the kids realize how the world really is.
So an Amish is not forced into the church. And so when the Amish turns about 16, they are supposed to go and sow their wild oats, so to speak. They're supposed to go into the world. Now, I'm not sure how much of that is in effect this day. I'm not sure how much of that is to this day. But once a child turns 18, they have to either join the church, which means they have to put all their worldliness away. They can't drive a car, and they have to dress very plain, or that means that they leave the church, don't belong to the church, and then they're shunned. The Amish do shun the people. Then that is a hard thing for a person.
And to explain to those who are watching, what does shun mean?
Shun means they're no longer welcomed in the home, that they can't sit and eat at the same table as the ones that are joined to the church. They can come and eat, but they can't sit at the same table.
And a lot of things are changing within the church.
Right. So that's not all the Amish. And also you gotta understand, the Ohio Amish are different than the Pennsylvania Amish. The Pennsylvania Amish drive horse and buggy that are black. The buggies are black.
So some people wondered between the Quakers, the Joes, the Amish, the Mennonites.
Do you know what a Joe Wanger is?
Aren't they the ones that has to be black? Like the
That's Black Bumper.
Okay, there's Black Bumper Mennonite.
Unless you live it and know about it, it's almost hard to totally explain
what
it.
do you have to say when people say that they're nothing but an evil cult? That the Amish are nothing but a cult, and that they rape their children, they beat their animals. What do you think? How much of that do you think is true?
I think there are bad people, there are bad apples in every basket. And so in other words, you can have a basket of apples that look beautiful, and maybe deep inside there's a bad one. There's a bad person no matter what faith you are of. And so they are a peaceful people, they are a loving people, there are bad people, and the Mennonites, the Amish, no matter what faith you're in. And that's one time, somebody said to me, well, I don't like the Mennonites and what they did to me. And it's really sad because there are bad people. But when we start putting everybody in the boat together, that's when we are really becoming that's when we're becoming extremely hard-hearted to everyone. Just because there's a bad person in any faith does not mean the whole faith they're bad.
And that would relate to today's racism, because everybody, assume, well, all this rioting, we kind of, as humans, put them all in the same basket. Well, we start judging one bad cop, get rid of all the cops,
Right.
We're not going to get too much into that for this video.
And being raised as a Mennonite traditional woman, a lot of the women of the world would say, oh my word, that's almost abusive, having a woman stay at home. But I think it's a beautiful world because it's a world I wanted to live in, and that is just the world. Everybody has the right to live the way they want, as far as some women didn't want to work away and some women wanted to stay at home. And so that's just the way you were raised, the way I was raised. My grandma, my great-grandma, everyone was raised in our family.
Yeah, I think there's some part of peace in the simplicity of the lifestyle of the Amish, because they don't have to worry about a lot of things that you and I have to worry about, because, you know, for one, hindsight is 2020. When you don't have something, you don't know what you're missing. So, but then another
They say
thing
it's
is,
a sheltered life, and people will say to me, "Oh, you know, you're just so sheltered, you poor thing." I don't see being sheltered as a bad thing, because they sheltered me
in
from
some
the world,
things.
right? They sheltered me from the world of just drugs and alcohol and just you know, a bad way of living. I don't know what that's like.
yeah. Now the Mennonite don't promote the whole room spring
No.
thing. See what the difference between the Amish, they give that time period for their kids to go wild. Literally go wild. Whatever they want to do, they can do. Drugs, whatever. But you know what's I found fascinating? 75% of those kids that are allowed to do whatever they want return back
Right.
when they're 18,
Right.
when they have to make the choice to join the Amish church or walk away. 75% of those kids join the Amish church.
And you know why? Because they like that community. You know what the number one thing with gangs is? It's the family. They feel like they belong somewhere.
Yeah, and they'll do anything for their family.
And the thing is, and that's how we are born. We're born with that in us, to want to belong. Everybody wants to belong, and so the Amish, they go back because they want to belong, and they want to belong in.
And to the people that say about a cult, in a way, what is a cult?
Correct.
Do you consider a community a cult? Of any community, would
Well,
you consider? Because for example, Amish can leave. You know, after
Right.
they're young and wild and they decide to join the church at 18, they can leave. They're shunned, but they can leave. A cult, typically,
You're not allowed to leave.
You're not allowed to leave.
Right.
Your children, you know, belong to the headmaster. It's not really that way with the Amish.
It's just not. There's so many things involved. And, you know, a cult, they would say, is anybody who believes in something that somebody else came up with. And
Exactly.
so Menno Simons was and that's because of the persecution of the church in England. And, you know, so a cult is a place where you join it and you can't leave, or you're constricted in some way. And
Yeah, you
know,
can't. You just.
But-
I mean, it's similar. You can't argue the fact. An Amish community.
It's a way of belief.
It's a way of belief. Now, here's what's very interesting is, I'm sure you're familiar, and a lot of the Amish that are leaving the church are realizing they're elders, because when you're in an Amish community, there's the elders that kind of dictate,
Yes.
you know, the dress code, because
Right.
in different areas, there's
Yeah.
different dress codes,
Right.
different belt colors, different, you know, what you can
They
wear.
measure the woman's knee to her ankle, and they want to make sure that your dress covers the knee and, of course, reaches to the ankle.
And what's very interesting is the elders, they have a Bible that they can't read because it's that old German. It's what is it?
It's the Ordung.
It's the original, and they can't
It's
read
German.
it. In fact, nobody can read it. There's only a very select few people alive in the world that can read the original German
Okay.
Bible. In which I saw this from a lot of people are coming from the Amish video in Lancaster, which that is where we live. You know, a lot of people wonder, well, you know, was this video stolen? Was this video, you know, are you some random hillbilly in the mountains? No, that video that you guys have seen, if you haven't seen it, check it out.
It's his viral video.
Yes, check it out. That is the area we personally live in. We grew up and were raised in the same area as those farms. In fact, we're miles away from them, which is interesting. But yeah, they can't read the Bible.
Right.
So they don't exactly know.
Well, that's a lot of its interpretation of the folklore. You know, the folklore was what? It was handed down through generations through hearsay.
Well, yeah. And
that's why the Amish are waking up and they're reading the Bible for themselves.
And that's why a lot are leaving the
Charity
church.
Christian Fellowship is a place where you can look it up. They have all kinds of beautiful messages. Most of them were Amish. They started reading the Bible for themselves and realized there's some things that maybe they weren't, you know, realizing before.
And that's also true for the Catholic faith as well.
Well, sure.
Because Catholics, you know, yeah, we'll get into that. That'll be a whole Catholic video.
It's with everything in life. Don't take somebody's word. Find it for
Yeah,
yourself.
seek
Read
for
the
yourself.
Bible for yourself.
Yeah, you need
And
to. You can't just.
you hear a lot of pastors in the mega churches that people are following them, but they're not reading it for themselves. So unless you read it for yourselves, how do
Yeah.
you know what the interpretation is?
Yeah.
And that's why it's so strong written in the Bible that no one shall change the Bible, because the Bible is the infallible word of God. Now, some people will say, well, the Bible is going to have errors in it because man wrote it.
Which is the funny thing is, in the 60s and leading up to today, they have found the oldest scrolls, which are called the Dead Sea Scrolls. And the context in those scrolls, they're over 2,000 years old. They found, in the context of them, is the same thing that we can find in our Bibles today, the same written scripture. There's,
Right.
of course, a little other dialect and some stuff missing,
Right.
but the stuff that they added is the same scripture to today.
And I want to point out one more thing. You know, you need to read the Bible for yourself, but also the number one thing in the Christian faith is having faith in things that you cannot see. And I'm going to end this with just an example for you. You all have faith in something that you cannot see, and I bet you're wondering, well, what is it? We all know that the wind is real, but we can't see the wind. We can't see wind,
No, we can't.
but yet we know it's real. And how do we know that wind is real? Because of the effects that wind does.
That is
So,
true.
and that is our faith. We know that God is real. We know Jesus is real. Do we see him? No, but we know what he is doing on this world, and miracles are happening every single day, and lives are being changed. And there is peace that passes all understanding. And only those who seek him and ask him into their heart and ask to be forgiven of their sins are going to find that true.
And we will point out that when you seek, often in life, when you seek, you will find, no matter what it is. If you're seeking lustful things, you'll find it. If you're seeking joy outside of your marriage, you will find it. If you're seeking anything in life, if you seek it hard enough and long enough, you will find it. The question is, what are you seeking? And is it actually something that is going to benefit you the rest of your life? And with faith, you know, it doesn't get easier when you accept Jesus into your heart. That's the hardest thing people don't understand. When you accept him, it opens yourself up to being attacked even stronger by the devil. And a lot of people think, well, why would God allow this? Why would God allow this to happen? My mom has cancer. My mom died from cancer. And that we're going to get into in another video.
I just did a video last week on that. Why does bad things happen to good people? And while I don't have the answer for that, nobody has the answer for that. I do have my thoughts on it.
So this channel is discussing stuff.
All kinds of things.
So what we would like you guys to do is, one, please like this video and share it with your family and friends. And two, please subscribe, because it shows that you guys are interested. And I would say the most important thing is, if you guys do like this channel, find it interesting with all subscribing, leave a comment on something that you guys would like us to discuss. There's no such thing as a stupid question, because as kids, we ask questions about what some might think the dumbest things in the world. Why would someone ask that? As kids, we ask questions, and that's how we learn. If you don't know something, if you don't ask it, the world we live in, if you ask something that's dumb, they down you. But we don't believe in that. We believe you should ask a question that you generally want to know. Ask it.
and if it's done in respect, you know, we don't have all the answers. What we're talking about is just our thoughts on things. We don't have all the answers. And if you ask a question or disagree with us in respect, we will honor that.
Yeah. That being said, if you guys are interested in the home style lifestyle, check out my mother's YouTube channel, her main channel. She does cooking and just different stuff. This channel will always be discussing things that we know, we don't know, our thoughts and opinions. You guys can open discussionally, you know, talk amongst yourselves within the chat comments. Just be respectful, be kind. You know, if you start cussing at people and stuff, there's no need for that. You know, we can all mature in our lives. Christian, non-Christian, Amish, non-Amish, Mennonite, non-Mennonite, Quaker, non-Quaker, Joe, Democrat, Republican, whatever. We can all have honest discussions within each other, but if it starts getting bad, it will be removed, because this is a place to learn and grow, and that's what this channel is about. And if you want to just see, it comes down to it, this channel, we're going to aim to do one video every single week. We don't have a set time or day yet each week, but if you guys show that you actually care, and if you can share our video and get it out there, then that means we can do this more often, to the point maybe once a day someday. Maybe we could do it, 5 videos a week. You guys are ultimately what matter, and your opinions matter. So thank you guys for watching. That's my final message. Anything else you want to add?
And thank you guys for watching my channel. I have a video 6 days a week.
Yes, her channel 6 days.
If you're interested in the quiet life and a peaceful life and the life of living way below your means and all kinds of homesteading things, check out my channel. My goal is to reach 50,000. I'm soon there.
So this is the Scott and Tessie show. We're just getting started. If you guys want to see more, you know what to do. Hit that like button, turn on the notification bell, hit that subscribe button, and share it with your family and friends, because you never know what topic we're going to talk about.
That's right.
Yep. All right, guys. Take care. Yeah.
It's starting to smoke out.
Well, you just have to ignore it.
A lot of it's, all the
What, Tessie? She's got the corona. I'm kidding.
Get that off.
I'm kidding. Let me